Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the monthly podcast coming from the Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church, located here in Dayton, Ohio, where the Reverend Samuel N. Winston Jr. is our pastor. We are glad to have you this evening because we're going to continue to look at manhood, but a task that only men can do. We're going to look at fatherhood. Fatherhood. And what does it mean to you personally? We've got an interesting panel this evening. My name is Clinton Yoakley. I'm going to be the facilitator. I'm going to really push it tonight, I need to tell you, because this business of fatherhood is something that is challenging to the world at large, and more particularly to the church. I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves, and we're going to get started.
My name is Christian Moncrief.
My name is Ray Knight.
Harold Davenport.
Wow. Harold Ray Christian. Christian Ray Harold Ray Christian. Let's talk about this business of fatherhood. It's a very unique word. A word that Jesus gave God. I thought I might better push you a little bit tonight. It's a word that Jesus gave God. But as we look at it tonight, let's look at it personally. Harold and Ray, both of you all are fathers. Chris, you're not a father yet, right?
Not yet.
No, not that you know of?
Not that I know.
Oh, okay. Okay. Chris, hang in there because let me hear from the old timers first who have been fathering about as long, well, no, probably before me. If not before me, as long as I have. Harold, let's go with you.
My oldest is 59.
Okay. What is fatherhood to you?
It's a grand experience and it's challenging. Not only am I a father, I'm a grandfather and a great-grandfather. So I have a brood to address, and some I have not seen because they're scattered all over.
Okay, Ray, what is fatherhood to you?
Is it on you? Fatherhood to me is, I came up without a father in my life, but I did have a grandfather that was right in my life. And the father part I kind of missed, but the grandfather, he showed me different things that a man should do. And I really appreciate that because now as I look back on that, I wish I had both because somewhere me growing up, I got 2 boys, 9 grandkids. And I was just telling one of my sons, I didn't do all the things that I should have done when I had him growing up with me because my mind was in such another state.
Okay, you all know Brother Yoakley is a different type facilitator. Notice I asked the 2 senior people on the panel, what is fatherhood? And they told me everything but the answer to my question. Now I'm going to try it one more time. What is fatherhood to you? Ray, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. I want to reverse that. Fatherhood to me is raising my kid, teaching them the right way in life, teach him about the Lord Jesus Christ and bring him up the way he should be brought up and the way the Father wants us to bring our kids up.
Okay.
That's fatherhood to me.
Harold, what is fatherhood to you?
Fatherhood to me is being the patriarch of all of my kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and leading the way, even with my nieces and nephews, showing them ways to do things and leading as a good example.
Okay. Now, Chris, it's your turn. Tell me what fatherhood means to you. Not that you're a father yet.
Yeah, not yet. To me, my example of fatherhood, my father growing up, I believe fatherhood is teaching your son how to walk in the world, how to provide for a family, how to be the rock for a family, and how to be successful and continue with generations and allow your family to be successful.
Okay. Listen at the word that's coming from all three, but is not said. Fatherhood, the word that they are describing, which they are not saying, is mentorship. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Let me break it down ebonically. Becoming an example. An example. Now, to be an example, you have to first be. Wow. You have to first be a father. Biblically, before we get worldly, we can get worldly right quick, but biblically, Jesus called God his Father. In fact, he said he only did what his Father did. I wonder if we can say that tonight. Those of us who are fathers, I wonder if we can say our sons and daughters only do what they see us do. Ooh, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? In terms of being the matriarch, Harold, of your family, what illustrations or demonstrations of fatherhood are you passing on?
To provide, to counsel, to play with them, and to scold them. Do a lot of things that it teaches them how to be a well-rounded person.
All right. Ray, you have, I think I heard you say you had 2 sons. What examples of manhood are you passing on? Remember, the only thing God has given us to make a man is a boy. Ooh, let me say it again. The only thing God has given us to make a man is a boy. And the only thing that can become a father, the only one who can become a father is a man. I know that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, because we're not talking about the alphabets today, we're talking about the book. The only thing God has given us to make a man is a boy. And the only one who can be a father is a man. Because only, I know those who are listening will probably pull their hair out right now, because the only thing that God has made pregnant in the human race is a man. Ooh. the only thing that God has made pregnant in the human race is a man. Ray, talk about your two boys and your relationship with them.
And as I go back when I first was telling you about my experiences, when I left home and got out in the world, I was in the church, but when I left home and got out in the world, and I got married, being a man and teaching that to my kids didn't interest me. Other things interested me at that time. And I knew in order for you to be a man, you should be brought up. You should teach your kid to bring them up in the church the way I was. But I refrained from that. So at that point in my life, I just let that go. And then my boys, they became grown, they got out, and they sort of was doing their thing. And, you know, you kind of like go far apart with each other, then you come back. So as I came back to the church, now I'm into teaching them, asking them, come to church with me. You ought to get in the Lord, let the Lord guide you and strengthen them. And at this point in my life, I'm hoping I can reach one of them, other two, but they have their own mind. And the youngest son, he been here, not my oldest son. Okay, my oldest son, we haven't spoke for a while, so I just pray for him, and I pray that God will just bring us back together. But some of this teaching them to be a man and myself, I have kind of felt like I failed because I strayed away.
Okay, Christian, what is a father to you?
To me, I believe that a father is a man that is calm. I feel like in my upbringing, I've had plenty of questions or problems, and I come and I ask my father, and he always seems to have an answer for me. And I feel like being a father is being a man first, like you said, and going through so much that you know what to do when your son has a question. And if you don't, allowing your son to teach you sometimes and learn with them and grow together.
I'm gonna put you on the spot since this is a podcast for men. How old are you, Chris?
19.
19. In your 19 years, just off the top of your head, how many men have you seen that fits your role as a father?
I would say 2.
Ooh, okay.
Like close family, I would say
Okay.
2.
Okay.
I would say my father and my mother's father were very good fathers.
Okay. Wow. What made them, in your opinion, what made them role models or good fathers to you?
For me, I feel like my father has really instilled the value of wanting to get better every day and enjoying learning and trying to go through the world, never stopping that process. And I believe that my mother's father did a great job of always being there and being firm, but being fair and instilling values in everybody that may be traditional in a sense, but may be lost nowadays, instilling respect and showing you how to go and walk and interact with other grown men in the environment.
Okay. Harold, what characteristics do you possess that makes you a father? Ooh-wee.
Being a good example by leading, teaching, instructing, and also asking for help when I need it.
Ooh-wee. The last one I got to bother. Who would ever thought that Harold, when I look at his beard would ever have the word help in his mouth. Harold, you mean to tell me there are conditions or situations that you have to use the word help?
Yes. When it comes to cooking, cleaning, two of the things. Not having to ask for a loan is one thing that I learned from my father. He was my hero. He used to take me where he went, when he wanted to go, and he was awesome in being involved in our lives, coaching, teaching, and whatever.
Okay.
Can I
Right.
take it back off of that?
Yeah. No, you're not gonna piggyback on. You gonna jump on it.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I want you to jump. I have to guard you, help you with your thinking.
Okay.
What are the characteristics that you have that represent fatherhood?
My characteristic is I try to carry myself in an upstanding way that when people see me now, they can see me different. They can see the Christ in me, the God in me. Because since I came back to the church, I am different. I know I'm different, but I just try to carry myself that they'll say, boy, he's different. He ain't like what he used to be. So I keep that going so that I trust God that whatever he is leading me to do now, that this is pleasing to him, and I want to please God. Now I'm going to piggyback off of Brother Harold. I want to piggyback on and tell and say that I need help just in being spiritually led. Especially, I have came to you and asked you questions about different things about the Bible. I need that for me because when I was in the church, I was just in the church. Now, as I got older, I'm 75 now, I don't remember a lot of the things I learned, but spiritually, I want to know that, and I want you guys to tell me spiritually because God brought me back here to this church for a reason, and I know why. I mean, we got some anointed people in this church, and they are very spiritually by God. So that's what I want to say.
I want to ask the panel a question now to make you, and this one's going to push you. Are fathers born or made? Let me listen to the question. Are fathers born or made?
I would say made.
Okay. Yeah,
we all-
I'm coming back to why. You say made. Ray, what do you say?
Both.
Okay, I'm coming back to you.
I would say made.
You say made. Okay. I'm gonna start with Ray, since he got both. Which one you gonna handle first? You gonna handle the made or the born first?
Born. Well, you got to be born to be here. And then after you are born, then you're made spiritually to be a father.
So then you're saying you can't be a father unless you're spiritual.
No, you can be a father without being spiritually,
Well,
but you got to be born, and then you can be a father. That's why I said both.
Okay, tell me about being the maid.
Being
That's the born. Tell me about the maid part.
the maid part, well, that's all up to the Lord. The Lord has to make us, and they have to make us to however he wants us to be. Just like we was it in our Bible study last week on how everything is already laid out for us, and we have this avenue to take. You can either take the right way or you veer off, but it's already there. our life. It's
Okay,
already
Harold.
there.
You say made.
Yes. You have to mature to a point where you can engage in a relationship with a woman to produce a child. You can't do it by yourself.
Okay. Who makes a father?
Another father.
Another father. Okay. Chris, you said made, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe what makes a father is your experiences when you're a child. Whether that be you have a stable home and you have a stable father growing up and a perfect example to look off of, and you just follow right in the footsteps. But I feel like there's another way too where you don't necessarily have the perfect role model growing up, and you notice things that you don't want to happen for your kids. And you take those things, and so you go the opposite way, but you still become a good father for it.
I want our audience to think about that when we come to you, because we're gonna be asking you, especially those of you who are fathers, were you born a father, or were you made a father? How did you become a father? Now, I'm not talking about physically. I'm not talking about physically, because fatherhood is not a physical issue. We seem to think, in fact, the concept of the world now is a pregnant man lays down with a woman and impregnates her, and because he impregnates her, we think he is a father. Just because you can impregnate another human does not make you a father. It does not make it only makes you a reproducer. You just passed your pregnancy on to somebody who is not pregnant. And for those of you who are wrestling with men being pregnant, the only way God designed for the human race to reproduce was he put the sperm in man, in the male man, and impregnated him so that he could, one of the rules of Genesis 1, he told the male man, be fruitful and multiply. And the way he could do that was to impregnate one of his kind. The only way you can impregnate one is you have to be pregnant yourself. Every male man is pregnant. Ooh-wee. And many of us are not showing. We're pregnant, but we're not showing. And many of us are showing, okay, ooh, and don't know what we're carrying. Now, if in this business of fatherhood, how does one get trained or made? Because all three of you got made, but only one have born only. How does a male man get made into a father? Who wants to take it first? How does a male man?
I would say experience, learning from another male, be it your father, your grandfather, great-grandfather, or uncle, whoever's the dominant male in your life or males.
He has to watch. Is that what you're saying? He has to watch somebody model it for him?
Yes.
Okay. Ray?
Well, I would say maybe he has to be taught and someone explained to him about, we're talking about what a man and a woman is all about. And this is how a man can produce children, whether it be a girl or a boy. So I think he has to get taught that through, like the brother Harold said, either his father, grandfather, or a therapist in these days.
Chris?
I believe that he must be taught, but I believe he also has to have the willingness to learn.
Okay. Okay. What are some of the things that a male man has to be taught to be a father? Listen, let me do it again. What are some of the things that a male man has to be taught to be a father? Who wants to try? Go first.
I would say he have to be taught how to be a man. Although he a male man, but how to be a man and always carry himself as a man and be respectful.
Okay, what are some of the things he has to be taught to be a man?
He have to be taught that he can stand up for himself. Don't allow yourself just to do anything. Be righteous, be spiritually, and just believe in God, that God created him, and we go from there on his creation, on whatever God wants us to do.
Chris?
I think that, what was the question again?
What are some of the things a man has to be taught?
I think a man needs to be taught how to work hard.
Ooh, work, okay.
I believe he needs to be able to be taught how to work hard, and not just that, I feel like he needs to be taught how to be grateful for the work that he is able to do.
Grateful, okay. Yeah?
First is respect. You have to respect others so that you can give respect in return. And you have to love your parents, love your brothers and sisters, and your neighbors.
Okay. I heard respect. Let me throw one that we shy away from. A man has to be a father, has to be taught to love. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm not talking about that eros love. I'm not talking about that philia love. I'm talking about that agape love that runs from heart to heart and breast to breast. And the first person that he has to be taught to love is who?
Himself.
Himself. He has to be taught to love himself so that he won't, if he's taught to love himself, then he will have the responsibility of fatherhood. You can't have the responsibility of fatherhood without knowing how to love. Ooh, and how to love yourself. When you love yourself, you will care for yourself. You will respect yourself. Love produces love. And children respond. I just heard it. Children respond to love. Children respond. In fact, the backbone of fatherhood is love. The backbone of fatherhood is love. If one is taught to love themselves and then passes that on to their siblings, to their offspring, nothing works better than love, even in discipline. In fact, real discipline is a demonstration of love. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. I had to get old to learn that because I used to hear my parents say, as they would discipline me, that as they whipped me, they'd say it was hurting them as bad as it was, as much as it was hurting me. And Chris, I couldn't understand that for a long time because I didn't understand how throwing the leather that they were throwing, the switches that they were throwing, how in the world they could be feeling what they felt and saying. But I have children now. I know what it is now to discipline what you love, to hurt one, to help them, to say no, but you're dying to say yes. You really want to give them, but you say, no, I'm not going to give it to you. The hurt, but that can only come through love. As we're talking about this fathership business, can one be a father? Listen now. Can one be a father without having a father? Ooh, listen to what I said now. Can a man, a male man, can he be a father? Now, I'm not talking physically now. Can he be a father without having a father? Who wants to tackle it? That's not an easy question, sir.
I'll start.
Okay.
I would say yes. I believe someone can be a father without having one. Because when you're a child and you don't have a father, I imagine there is plenty of things you wished that would have happened for you when you were a child, things you noticed that certain kids had that you didn't have. And I believe through that experience, you would be able to give that experience to your child that you didn't have when you were a child.
Okay.
I would say yes also, because like I say, if you grew up without a father being in your life, and if your parents or someone around your parents that you might look up to, and you might really start liking this person as a man, and he's teaching you things that a father would do. I know that's probably physical, but you can be a father. You can maybe teach your kids how to be a man, and once you grow up and become a man.
Okay. Harold?
As you struggle through life, you're going from neighborhood to neighborhood. You're going to have kids that are going to look up to you as a father, and that you'll need to guide and instruct as to how to be or not to be.
Okay. I'm going to answer that. I'm going to answer that like Ray would answer. I'm going to say yes and no. I'm going to say yes, a man can grow up to be a father if he has a model of a father in his life, someone who models a father, and that model, the model for fatherhood, is demonstrated in how God cares for us, his children. Wow, 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 wow. How God cares for us, his children. God is our heavenly Father. And he models that by caring for us. One of the unique caring for us is, I'm going to try not to make you holler now, but to wake us up this morning in spite of us. As awful as we are, those of us who, some of us, he didn't even cross our mind today. And yet he gave us this day. And you know, he could have had this day perfectly well without us. And he didn't have to kill us. All he had to do was leave us asleep. He didn't have to kill us, just leave us asleep. You do know sleep is in his hands. Well, our time is running out. Let me go to our audience, because I want to ask the brethren who are present, what's your thoughts about fatherhood? And are you one? And if you are one, what are the characteristics do you have that demonstrate fatherhood? Yeah.
Deacon Yoakley, as you were asking all those questions, I was thinking about what it meant to me as far as fatherhood goes. And I never heard anyone mention anything about being godly. My dad, he basically didn't go to church, but he believed in God. And he always told us those things as we grew up, to trust in God. And me as a father, I try to lead especially my sons, I try to lead them in the right direction. And the only way I know how to do that is to lead them to Christ, to send them to a place of a man that can teach the fatherless and show them in which the way they should go.
Okay. All right.
I think that when you say, or I hear you saying, as far as it
Closer to your mouth.
as far as it's going to be a godly father, a spiritual man, and out for what you said, Rodney, and I grew up with a father, stepfather, however you want to put it, I say father, but knowing that God is our father, the main father. And I go back to the scripture again, when you train a child in the way that he shall go. So, being that even coming from the motherly, the fatherly, however, being spiritual, grounded and rooted in that. And me as being a father, I just try to lead by example, to let them see what it is to be that man first. Because see, when we was a child, we always thought like a child. We did childish things, but as we got older, we kind of went off from that. Okay, so when I deal with fatherhood, with my children and my grandsons and all of that. I show them there's only one way, and it's the godly way that makes up everything. It makes all the difference in the world. And if you just keep on, you trusting and believing and having even that faith as small as a grain of a mustard seed, there's nothing that you can't teach that boy to become that man, to be able to become a father.
All right. Any questions that you all want to ask the panel? Okay.
And you mentioned it starts with love. I think there are a couple other components that go along with that love. You have to start with love, but you have to have patience, provide, and protect. I think it's all four of those what makes an essential good father.
Do them again.
Love, patience, provide, and protect.
Love, patient, provide, and protect. Qualities of fatherhood. They're really qualities of a what? Of a man.
A good man.
Of a man. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mike. Hello?
Yes.
Now, you said several things that I'm going to try to respond to. The person is a father made or born. I think a father is made through the men that he see as he's growing up, and listening to an example and seeing them. He has to be a leader because he's leading his family. He has to be a decision maker. And
So yours is fathers are made. Is that what you're saying?
yes,
Okay.
and they're made by the examples that they take to heart as they're growing up. And they take those examples and use them as he matures into his manhood. As my brother just said, he has to make decisions. Some of them are not going to be good, and some of them are not going to be pleasant for the responsibility he's taken on as being a father. So in essence, I'm saying the father is made.
What are some of the responsibilities of a made father, if he has any?
To have a home for his family. That's the first thing he has to do.
Do it again.
He has to have a home for his family.
Oh,
And he
so
established-
so you really, what you're saying, you really should not impregnate a female until you have a home to put the pregnant one in.
responsibility, so you can carry out the rest of that
Ooh-wee.
impregnation.
You know, you messing with the world. They said get them pregnant first, then get a home.
No, that ain't how I did. Mine was not like that.
Okay. Wow.
I agree with what you say. You got to have something for them. If you're going to impregnate a woman, like I said, we come up from the old school. We believed in prophylactics because we respected the women. Wasn't out here just running them around. And again, you ask how many men were in your sight to show you how to be a man. I can say 5 men that I had that were so important to me that showed me how manhood was a responsibility
Wow.
and
Okay.
fatherhood.
Say somebody else, panel. What are some of the responsibilities of fatherhood?
I have to agree with what Harvey was saying, especially about protecting your family. You know, be there for your wife, your kids, and just protect them and show them the way, show them the godly way, and just take care of your family and make sure it's a
Let me
spiritual.
bother you. What are you protecting them from?
Whatever,
Or for?
huh?
If it's not, are you protecting them from or are you protecting them for?
um, um, uh, I would say you protect them from the world, so that the world don't come in and grab them, so that you can lead them to Christ. That's what I mean by protect them. Because if you don't have that protection and show them the way to the Lord, they'll come in and grab your kids up and want to be this way, grab your wife up that way. And I think that's our responsibility as a man to show them the Christ. If you're going to say you the man and the father of your house.
Chris.
What do you think you should protect them from?
Yes.
Back to what he was saying over there, I believe that when you do have a child, I believe you should have a home ready for them. And the way I interpreted that is make sure that you are having children with the right person.
Okay.
To make sure that half of the home is stable.
That word care or protection is a big word. Yes, sir, Brother Harvey. What is, we're looking at fatherhood.
I'd like to make a comment.
You're not on?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to make a comment and then a question. You talk about being made, or being born, and I think that fathers are actually made, but they're made. You have to be present in somebody's life. If you can be a father biologically, but if you're not present in that child's life, that makes a big difference. I grew up without a father, okay, but there were men that were present in my life that taught me things, and that and children understand that presence of you being there, or that man being there to mentor, them into what they need to be doing, and how they need to be doing it, and how they need to grow up. So I think a big thing for me is being present in the life of the child.
We thank you for being participants in our monthly podcast on manhood. Thanks to our panel, thanks to our audience for being living, willing participants, telling men, women, boys, and girls, whoever is willing to listen, we have a Christ who has a daddy. And if you will just believe him and trust him, he can make you a man and lead you to fatherhood. God bless you, and we'll see you on the third Monday here at the Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church here in Dayton, Ohio. Thank you so much.
We can amen that, can we?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did you enjoy it?